What happens when men end up in women's prisons? Rare cases, real stories, and shocking consequences. Let's dive into one of the most controversial prison issues today. In the complex world of prison systems, an unusual and rare situation arises when biological men, who identify as women, are placed in female correctional facilities. While cases of this are not widespread, they have sparked heated debates about safety, fairness, and legal rights. The process of transferring transgender individuals to women's prisons depends on various factors, including self-identification, medical transition status, and legal policies that vary by country and state. Once inside, these inmates experience unique challenges. Some struggle with acceptance among the general prison population, while others face hostility or even isolation. At the core of the controversy is the balance between respecting gender identity and ensuring the safety of all inmates. Women's prisons are traditionally designed for biological females, and the introduction of transgender women has raised concerns about security, particularly in cases where the individual retains male anatomy. Some inmates have expressed fear, while others have welcomed their new cellmates with openness. High-profile cases such as Isla Bryson in Scotland and Karen White in the UK have drawn public scrutiny, leading to policy changes that aim to prevent potential exploitation of the system. In the United States, different states take varied approaches, with some allowing transfers based on self-identification and others requiring medical proof of gender transition. Despite the media attention surrounding this issue, such cases remain exceptionally rare compared to the overall prison population. Most transgender inmates face significant hardships, including higher risks of abuse, mental health struggles, and difficulties accessing medical care. While advocacy groups push for better policies and protections, correctional facilities must navigate a delicate balance, ensuring that transgender prisoners are housed safely while protecting the rights and security of cisgender female inmates. The debate continues to evolve, highlighting the need for nuanced solutions that respect human dignity without compromising safety. We've seen the rare cases of men in women's prisons, but what about the prisons themselves? Next, we explore the world's most unusual prisons and shocking facts about incarceration. Stay tuned. Halden Prison in Norway is unlike any other maximum security facility. It is built on the idea that treating inmates with dignity leads to real rehabilitation. Instead of small cells with cold metal beds, prisoners live in private rooms with soft mattresses, flat-screen TVs, and en-suite bathrooms. The prison is designed to feel open and welcoming, with bright hallways, large windows, and modern furniture. There are no towering fences covered in razor wire, just green forests surrounding the facility. Guards don't carry weapons and are trained to interact with inmates as mentors rather than enforcers. Prisoners have access to a fully equipped gym, a music studio where they can record songs, and even a kitchen where they can cook their own meals. There are workshops for woodworking, painting, and mechanical repairs, helping inmates develop job skills. The focus is on creating a structured, normal life so that prisoners can transition smoothly back into society. Norway's approach is controversial. Some critics argue that Halden is too comfortable, that it feels more like a college dorm than a prison. However, the results speak for themselves. Norway has one of the lowest recidivism rates in the world. Most former inmates don't return to crime, which means fewer victims, safer communities, and lower costs for the justice system. For Norway, rehabilitation is not about being soft on criminals, it's about preventing future crimes. Prisons are often seen as places where inmates waste years behind bars, waiting for their release. But in New Zealand, Otago Corrections Facility takes a different approach. This prison isn't just about confinement, it's a training ground for a second chance. Inmates spend their time learning valuable skills, from carpentry and engineering to dairy farming. Instead of sitting idle in cells, they are welding, repairing machinery, or gaining construction certifications that can land them jobs after release. The prison operates more like a giant trade school, with workshops filled with tools and experienced instructors guiding prisoners toward a new future. The environment is strict, but there's a clear purpose. Prisoners must follow routines, show discipline, and prove they can handle responsibility. Those who complete training programs often find it easier to reintegrate into society, reducing their chances of ending up back behind bars. Critics argue that inmates are being given too many opportunities, but the results speak for themselves. New Zealand's focus on skill development inside prisons has led to lower re-offending rates. Yet even here, the facility is still locked, structured, and heavily monitored. But what if inmates were trusted with even more freedom? That's exactly what happens in Finland. A prison with no fences, no bars, and no armed guards might sound like a security nightmare, but in Finland, it's part of a well-tested system. Open prisons give inmates a surprising level of freedom, allowing them to live in dormitory-style housing, work regular jobs, and even leave during the day. These aren't hardened criminals locked away from society. They are offenders serving the last part of their sentence, gradually adjusting to the outside world before full release. The logic is simple. If prisoners learn to function in a structured, real-world environment before they are freed, they are far less likely to reoffend. Instead of spending years in isolation, they work, earn wages, and contribute to society while still serving their sentences. The surprising part? Escape attempts are rare. Inmates know that staying means they will be free much sooner than if they violate the rules. Finland's open prison system has gained international attention for its effectiveness, proving that sometimes trust can be more powerful than strict control. But what happens when a prison takes things even further and fully integrates education into its rehabilitation model? In Scotland, one facility is putting that theory to the test. In most prisons, inmates count the days until their release, passing the time with little direction. HMP Addywell in Scotland flips that idea on its head. Here, prison isn't just about serving a sentence. It's about learning, growth, and preparation for the future. The facility is designed as a learning prison, where every inmate follows a structured educational plan. From the moment they arrive, they are assessed and placed into courses that fit their skills and interests. Some take academic classes to improve literacy and numeracy, while others train in vocational skills like plumbing, electrical work, and mechanics. This isn't a standard classroom setting. Instead of traditional punishment, the focus is on guiding inmates toward self-improvement. Prisoners work toward certifications that make them employable upon release, giving them a real alternative to crime. The environment is strict, but constructive. Staff act as mentors, encouraging inmates to take responsibility for their actions and plan for a better future. Critics argue that it's too soft, and that prisons should focus on punishment rather than rehabilitation. But statistics suggest otherwise. Prisons that prioritize education tend to see lower reoffending rates. While HMP Addywell operates with purpose, it still offers structure and control. In some places, however, the issue isn't how to help prisoners, it's simply how to make space for them. Step inside Quezon City Jail and it quickly becomes clear, there is no space. Originally built for 800 inmates, the facility now holds over 4,000, with prisoners crammed into cells meant for a fraction of that number. There aren't enough beds, so many inmates sleep on the floor, on staircases, or even standing up, packed together so tightly that movement is difficult. The suffocating heat and lack of ventilation make conditions unbearable, and disease spreads rapidly. Food is limited and medical care is scarce, creating an environment where survival becomes the top priority. The problem isn't just the number of prisoners, it's the legal system. Many inmates haven't even been convicted of a crime. They are waiting for trials that take months, sometimes years, due to backlogs in the courts. With no space to separate violent offenders from those accused of minor crimes, tensions run high. Yet, despite the harsh conditions, inmates find ways to cope. Some take part in religious services, others form small businesses inside the jail, selling food or cigarettes. Authorities have tried to ease overcrowding by transferring prisoners to other facilities, but the issue remains. As cities grow and crime rates fluctuate, jails like this struggle to keep up. In some countries, the focus is on rehabilitation. In others, it's simply about managing chaos. Not all prisoners live under harsh conditions. In Indonesia, money can buy freedom, even behind bars. In the country's so-called VIP prisons, wealthy inmates enjoy privileges that ordinary prisoners can only dream of. Instead of cramped, overcrowded cells, those who can afford it get private rooms with air conditioning, televisions, and comfortable beds. Some even have access to personal chefs, cell phones, and, in extreme cases, illegal substances, smuggled in with the help of corrupt guards. While ordinary inmates live in overcrowded conditions with minimal food, wealthier prisoners can pay for better meals, extra visits, and even special treatment from prison staff. The existence of VIP jails became widely known after high-profile corruption cases exposed the luxury available to Indonesia's richest inmates. Business executives, corrupt politicians, and drug lords often find themselves in these prisons, but their lives inside are nothing like those of regular inmates. Investigations have revealed cells turned into luxury suites complete with sofas, refrigerators, and even karaoke machines. Authorities have attempted to crack down on the practice, but corruption runs deep, and money continues to buy privilege. For those who can afford it, prison is more of an inconvenience than a punishment. But in Bolivia, one prison operates under a completely different system, where inmates run the facility themselves. At first glance, San Pedro Prison in Bolivia looks like any other correctional facility. But step inside, and it becomes clear that this is no ordinary prison. There are no guards patrolling the halls, no strict schedules enforced by authorities. Instead, the inmates govern themselves, running the prison like a small town. Within its walls there are restaurants, barbershops, and even small businesses where prisoners earn money to survive. Housing isn't assigned, it's bought. Wealthier inmates can afford larger, more comfortable cells, while those with no money sleep on the floor in overcrowded areas. Families of inmates often live inside with them, creating a strange mix of normal life and incarceration. Children play in courtyards, wives cook meals, and some prisoners even leave during the day for work, returning at night to serve their sentences. This self-governed system has existed for decades, despite being highly unregulated. While it gives inmates a sense of independence, it also leads to lawlessness. Some areas are controlled by powerful prisoners who enforce their own rules, and violence can break out over disputes. Authorities occasionally attempt to regain control, but San Pedro remains a unique case, a prison where the inmates are in charge. It's a place that challenges everything people expect from a correctional facility, proving that in some parts of the world, prison can be an entirely different experience. In a world where most prisons are massive, high-security complexes, Sark Prison in Guernsey is the complete opposite. With just 2 tiny cells, it holds the title of the smallest operational jail in the world. This quaint stone building, originally built in the 1850s, is located on the tiny island of Sark, which has no cars, no streetlights, and a population of only a few hundred people. Unlike other prisons filled with long-term inmates, most prisoners in Sark only stay for a few hours or overnight before being released or transferred to a larger facility. Despite its small size, Sark Prison is still in use. It mainly holds people for minor offenses such as public intoxication or disturbing the peace. There are no high fences, no armed guards, and certainly no maximum security cells. Instead, the island relies on community discipline, and serious crimes are so rare that long-term incarceration is almost unheard of. While it may not be an intimidating place, it is still a functioning prison, a reminder that even in one of the most peaceful places in the world, laws must be upheld. But while Sark's prison is about as basic as it gets, some facilities take a completely different approach. Most prisons are built around control. Strict schedules, constant surveillance, and minimal personal freedom define life behind bars. Norgerhaven Prison in the Netherlands, however, challenges that model by giving inmates more responsibility over their daily lives. Here, prisoners have keys to their own rooms, cook their own meals, and are expected to take care of themselves, much like they would on the outside. The goal is to prepare inmates for reintegration into society by giving them responsibilities rather than forcing them into complete isolation. Norgerhaven's approach isn't about being soft on crime. It's based on the idea that when prisoners have a sense of normalcy and independence, they are far less likely to reoffend. The facility is designed to mimic the real world, with work programs, personal development courses, and an emphasis on trust. There are still rules, but inmates have far more freedom than in most traditional prisons. The results have been impressive: lower recidivism rates and a better transition back into society. In a world where many prisons focus on punishment, Norgerhaven is proving that responsibility and rehabilitation might be the key to reducing crime in the long run. Prisons are often overcrowded, but few compare to the sheer scale of Silivri Prison in Turkey. As the largest prison in the world, this massive complex can hold over 22,000 inmates and continues to expand. Located just outside Istanbul, Silivri isn't just a prison, it's a self-contained city of confinement, with multiple high-security buildings, courtrooms, medical facilities, and even a hospital inside its walls. The facility was originally built to house dangerous criminals, but in recent years, it has become infamous for holding political prisoners, journalists, and activists. Life inside Silivri is tough. The prison is heavily guarded, with constant surveillance, armed towers, and strict control over inmate movements. Cells are often overcrowded and prisoners have limited access to outdoor space. Reports from former inmates describe long periods of isolation, restricted contact with family, and limited access to legal representation. Despite its size, the prison has faced criticism for its harsh conditions and human rights concerns. Critics argue that it has become a symbol of mass incarceration, where thousands of people are held without fair trials. For some, Silivri represents security and control. For others, it is a place where justice is often questioned. While its scale is unmatched, its purpose remains controversial. As prison populations continue to rise worldwide, facilities like Silivri highlight the growing debate between security and human rights, raising the question, how big is too big when it comes to incarceration? Switzerland is often associated with efficiency and order, but Champdalen prison tells a different story. Located in Geneva, this facility became notorious for extreme overcrowding, turning what was once a modern prison into a place of chaos. Originally built to house around 270 inmates, the prison's population at one point soared past 900, leading to packed cells, lack of hygiene, and rising tensions among prisoners. Detainees were crammed into tiny spaces, forced to sleep on floors, and given minimal access to fresh air. The situation became so dire that human rights organizations called it one of the worst cases of prison overcrowding in Europe. Authorities knew they had to act. In response, Switzerland launched an extensive modernization effort to improve conditions. New wings were constructed, increasing capacity while reducing the pressure on existing facilities. The government also introduced more rehabilitation programs, including education and vocational training, to help inmates reintegrate into society rather than cycle back into prison. The focus shifted from simply detaining offenders to giving them a chance to build a future after release. While overcrowding has improved, challenges remain. Champdalen is still home to a high number of pretrial detainees, meaning many inmates haven't even been convicted yet. Critics argue that Switzerland's strict immigration policies contribute to the issue, as many detainees are foreign nationals awaiting deportation. But for now, the prison stands as an example of how even the most overburdened facilities can evolve. The question is, can modernization truly fix overcrowding, or is it just a temporary solution to a growing global problem? A prison without high walls, armed guards, or barbed wire might sound like a security risk, but in Norway, it's a model for rehabilitation. Bastøy Prison, often called the world's most humane prison, is located on a scenic island in the Oslofjord. Here, inmates don't live in cramped cells but in small wooden cottages, sharing communal spaces and preparing their own meals. There are no uniform jumpsuits, no overcrowded dormitories, and no harsh punishments. Instead, prisoners work on farms, tend to animals, and fish in the surrounding waters, all while serving their sentences. Bastøy isn't about punishment. It's about rebuilding lives. The focus is on responsibility, trust, and rehabilitation. Inmates have jobs, earn wages, and attend therapy sessions to help them reintegrate into society. The prison runs almost entirely on renewable energy, making it one of the most eco-friendly correctional facilities in the world. This isn't a place for violent criminals, but for those nearing the end of their sentences, preparing to return to the real world. Critics say Bastøy is too lenient, that it looks more like a summer camp than a prison. But Norway's approach is working. The country has one of the lowest recidivism rates in the world, proving that humane treatment can be more effective than harsh punishment. Bastøy challenges everything people assume about incarceration. Can freedom, responsibility, and trust create better citizens? Norway seems to think so, and the results speak for themselves. Most prisons focus on strict routines, heavy surveillance, and harsh discipline to keep order. But in the Cebu Provincial Detention and Rehabilitation Center, or CPDRC in the Philippines, discipline takes a completely unexpected form: choreographed mass dance performances. This high-security prison became famous when a video of its inmates performing Michael Jackson's Thriller went viral. Rows of orange-uniformed prisoners moved in perfect sync, transforming the prison yard into a massive dance floor. But this wasn't just for entertainment. Dance was being used as a tool for discipline, mental health, and rehabilitation. The idea behind CPDRC's program was simple: keep inmates active, engaged, and focused on something positive. Instead of wasting away in their cells, prisoners spend hours practicing routines, working together to perfect each movement. The performances help reduce violence, relieve stress, and build a sense of unity among inmates. Many of them, locked up for years in an overcrowded facility, say the dance program gives them something to look forward to. It also changes how the public sees them, not just as criminals, but as people trying to improve themselves. However, not everyone supports this approach. Some argue that the performances are a spectacle rather than real rehabilitation, and critics question whether the program truly helps inmates reintegrate into society. Still, CPDRC stands as one of the most unique prison systems in the world, proving that discipline doesn't always come in the form of punishment. Sometimes it comes with music, movement, and a little bit of rhythm. Few prisons have a history as long and dark as HM Prison Shepton Mallet in the UK. Originally built in 1610, this facility stood for over 400 years, making it the oldest operating prison in the world, until its closure in 2013. Within its thick stone walls, countless prisoners lived, suffered, and died. Some were executed by hanging in the courtyard, while others faced brutal conditions that belonged to a different era. Over the centuries, the prison held highwaymen, murderers, war criminals, and even spies, each generation adding to its grim legacy. During World War II, the prison took on a different role. It became the execution site for American soldiers convicted of serious crimes while stationed in Britain. The US military took control of the facility, turning it into a place of wartime justice. The echoes of its past still linger, and many believe that Shepton Mallet is one of the most haunted prisons in Britain. Guards and visitors have reported eerie sounds, whispers in empty corridors, and sudden drops in temperature, fueling ghost stories that refuse to die. By the time it finally closed its doors in 2013, Shepton Mallet had become obsolete, replaced by modern facilities with better security and improved conditions. Yet, its history remains. Today it serves as a tourist attraction, offering visitors a glimpse into centuries of incarceration. Its cells, once filled with the condemned, now stand empty, but the stories of those who lived and died within its walls will never truly fade. That's about it. Write in the comments which fact about prisons surprised you the most. For more useful information, watch other videos.